Alright, time to do a camera comparison between the iPhone 12 and the latest quote-unquote budget iPhone, the 16e. I'm not expecting huge differences, but let's see if the 16e justifies its price tag. As always, let's take a look at portrait shots first. Now before we do that, there's one important issue I'd like to discuss about the 16e. It's that this phone just refuses to take a full body portrait. As you can see, I'm standing really close to my brother and the phone won't blur the background. I've used dozens of phones for such comparisons and this is the first time I've had this issue. As you can see, the phones are at a pretty much equal distance and yet the 12 registers a portrait shot and the 16e does not. I tried it multiple times and I got the same result. Let me know if you have a 16e and have encountered a similar issue, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Due to this issue, all the following portrait shots will be taken much closer to the subject. The first two shots of my brother are straight up garbage on the 16e. The phone seems to be applying the blur effect on the subject itself. Parts of the face and jacket are all blurry. The same is true with the second photo. The 12, while not having the best color accuracy, is still taking decent shots. At least they are usable. Once I enter the scene, the 16e seems to get much better. In fact, in all the following shots, I do like the 16e more. It does tend to produce a slightly warmer photo compared to the iPhone 12. The color accuracy and the sharpness of the 16e cannot seem to be matched by that of the iPhone 12. The 12 seems to be producing a slightly brighter shot, and in that process it does wash out the colors. The 12 also seems to be having issues with the sunlight. It produces this haze effect while the 16e handles the sun more effectively. Now before you say the lens might be dirty, I did clean it multiple times. In portrait shots, while the 16e needs some updates done, I would still choose it over the iPhone 12. The color accuracy, sharpness, detail, and also the edge detection is slightly better on the 16e. That said, the iPhone 12 is still a solid camera. Moving on to some random shots with the main sensor. This is where the iPhone 12 and 16e produce identical shots. I mean, if I didn't label the phones here, you would almost be mistaken for thinking it's the same shot replicated twice. The only minute difference I could notice is that the 16e produces slightly punchier colors. If you notice the grass in this photo, it looks greener in the 16e. The same goes for the color of the duck. Also, while it's not noticeable in the video, if you do crop in, the 16e has a slightly sharper photo. This is likely due to that 48 megapixel sensor taking a higher res shot than the 12 megapixel of the iPhone 12. Other than that, I cannot see any differences between the shots of the 12 and 16e. I have noticed in these random shots, even in my previous videos, iPhones tend to produce similar looking shots. Next up, we'll do an interesting comparison of the zoom capabilities of each phone. Now on paper, it is clear that the 16e will be better, but by exactly how much? Well, let's find out. The iPhone 12 is capable of a max zoom level of 5x while the 16e can do 10x. I have compared the 2x, 5x and the 10x zoom of the 16e to that of the 2x and 5x of the 12. And from the output, the results are crystal clear. The 16e produces better detailed shots than the iPhone 12. While 2x shots are not that far apart, 5x shots are sharper on the 16e and the text is slightly more readable. The 10x reach of the 16e gives you twice as much reach as the iPhone 12. I'm not really sure if people who buy the iPhone 16e will be getting it for that extra reach, but in the off chance you do need that extra zoom, it is good to know that it'll produce decent results for a single camera iPhone. Moving on to some 4K video from the main sensor. While the iPhone 16e does have a bigger main sensor compared to the 12, it does not translate to higher or better video quality. In fact, just like random shots, the video is almost identical. The 16e does produce just a tiny bit punchier colors than the 12, but it is not miles ahead. The only other advantage the 16e has over the iPhone 12 is the optical image stabilization. As you can see, while walking, the video does look slightly more stable on the 16e than on the iPhone 12. And that's it. The 16e doesn't have any other ace up its sleeves. It's just a regular video camera. I wish Apple could have added some extra video features, but with a single lens you are kind of limited with what can be done. Up next we have the front camera shots and video. Now both phones have the same sensor, but the 16E has a slightly wider aperture, which means it produces brighter shots as it lets in more light. And I can confirm that by comparing these shots. One thing to point out is that I do like the slightly more natural or less blur effect of the 12 compared to the stronger effect of the 16E. Video quality is almost the same. There was plenty of sun outside, so cannot really say one is better than the other. My face does look slightly brighter on the 16E as expected. With that, let's take a look at some nighttime photography. While I'm not a huge night photography person, I did try to get some nice shots for this video. While both phones are decent and not out of the ordinary, I do feel the 16E produces slightly better shots. The 12 just tends to over brighten everything in the photo, and in that process, it makes it look artificial. If you look closely, the iPhone 12 is making the darker parts of the photo a bit brighter than I would like. The 16E keeps it more grounded. This is especially visible in the video I took. The 12 is cranking up that brightness while the 16E is closer to reality. It is a tough situation for any phone, but I do prefer the video produced by the iPhone 16e. Overall, the iPhone 16e has a decent camera but isn't miles ahead of the iPhone 12. I would have expected more from the iPhone 16e granted its price tag. Now this does show that the iPhone 12 is still holding strong in 2025. Now that's it for this video folks, subscribe and I'll catch you all soon in the next one.